I'm getting so tired. I'm getting so.
Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here. CK's brother is gone. He's gone. He's dead. And he's with his mother. He's trying to console his mother. She's having a hard time. She knows what her sons did. She knows the lifestyle that they led. So she's kind of, sort of understanding this outcome, but she's still hurting. She's still grieving. Because she's tried for years to get both of her sons, CK and her older son, to leave that lifestyle alone, to walk away from it, but they wouldn't do it. And now she only has CK left. But they got to move on. So he's consoling her all night. But check this out. Phyllis has company. She has company. Rome is in the living room right now. In the living room, and they're talking, and she's crying, talking about how he's doing her and how she feels like that he don't love her the way he should, and he's mistreating her by doing this and all of this, and Rome is sucking it up. Rome is telling her that it's gonna be okay. He's just going through a lot, and it's hard for somebody when they lost a loved one. He can relate because he knows what happened. The pain that CK's feeling is the same pain that he felt when they took out his brother. But she don't know that. And see, he can't even tell her that. He can't confide in her about what's going on with him. So he listens. And he says all the right thing because the pain that he feels is real. It's just not for CK and her. It's for his brother. So the manipulation continues. The deceit continues. And she tells him, she said, you really understand what I'm saying and where I'm coming from. And he assures her that he does. He really understands how she feels. He really understands the pain that CK is going through. He really understands how CK's mother is suffering. He really understands why CK is not there. That's why he's telling her it's going to be okay. But it's all empty. It's all empty. The manipulation plays on. So she's leaning on him now. She has her head on his chest and his heartbeat is calm and soothing. And it calms her down. And it makes her think about CK. When he was stressed out, his heartbeat was erratic and fast. His demeanor was calm, but on the inside he was a nervous wreck. And she heard him crying. Now listen to me, let me explain something. When a person starts to compare you to someone else, the things that they would normally see as open, honest, transparent, genuine, vulnerable, they all of a sudden become weaknesses. Things that they can use against you in their mind to convince themselves that the person that they're comparing you to is somebody that they can depend on, stronger. So she thought about that night when CK was in the restroom and she heard him crying. She thought about that night when she was laying on his chest and his heartbeat was erratic and not calm, but he was pretending and wanted her to believe he was calm. And she's laying on Rome's chest now, and it's calm. His voice is calm and soothing. And she starts to think that this is the type of man that I need. This is the type of person that I want to be with, but I can't do this. I'm with CK. This won't be right. And almost like clockwork, Rome senses that she's vulnerable. She's open to it. And he leans down and he looks at her and he said, "Are you okay?" And she nods her head side to side saying no. So he touches her chin and tilts her face towards him, and he leans down and he gives her a slight kiss on the lips, and she raises all the way up. Now they're face to face, and she says, "This isn't right." And he looks at her and he says, "It is. I know that you've been wanting to do this. Now the circumstances are not right. What brought me over here is not right. But this, me and you, this is right." And he leans in to kiss her again, and she opens her mouth and she kisses him and lingers for 2 or 3 seconds and closes her eyes, and she starts to think, and she sees CK's face and she pulls away from him. But Rome is fully engaged now, and he leans forward and chases her face as she tilts back, and he kisses her again. And this time, as she's leaning back, he continues to lean forward, and she leans all the way back, and she reclines on the couch. And now their legs are intertwined. They still have on their clothes though, and Rome is kissing her, and he's telling her how much he'd been waiting for this moment. This very moment. He's dreamt of it. And she raises up and she tells him, she says, "Give me a minute." So she runs into the restroom and she cleans herself up. And she comes back out, she has on shorts, tank top. And she walks towards him, she says, "Nobody can ever notice." And he looks at her and he stands up and he starts to take his shirt off, and he said, "Nobody will know. This is our secret. Nobody will ever know." And she comes over to him and she straddles him on the couch and she starts to kiss him, and then she thinks about it and she gets up and she goes to the window and she closes the window, the blinds on the window, turns off the light, and it's dark in the house. And she proceeds back over to the couch and they make love. And the whole time she's thinking about CK, and the whole time Rome is thinking about CK. Wanting him to walk in, wanting him to see what's going on. And out of that anger, that rage that he felt, he poured all of that into her and made love to her in a way that she hadn't been made love to in quite a while. And it blew her mind. It blew her mind. She hadn't been taken in that way in a long time. He totally like ravaged her body. It was almost like he wanted to devour her, conquer her, dominate her. And she was open and willing. Her body poured out to him, opened up to him. He moved her around in positions that she had not been ever put in. And she fascinated in it. She glowed in it. She moaned in it. And he satisfied her in ways that she hadn't been satisfied ever. And when they were done, they just collapsed into each other's arms on the sofa. And as they lay there, their minds on 2 different tracks. Hers doubting CK, wondering what this could be. His on CK, wanting revenge for what happened to his brother. So he gets up and he tells her, said, "Look, let's take a shower." They go get in the shower. They make love again. And he tells her, he said, "Look, I don't think it'll be straight for me to stay tonight. I'm going to leave early in the morning so that nobody sees me." So she said, "Just stay a couple of more hours and then you can leave." And he does. They get in the bed together and lay in the bed, and he can smell CK's scent on the sheets. He knows the smell of another man, and he smells him. And he lays there and he moves around as if to try to scrub the scent out and replace it with his own. And about 4 in the morning, he gets up and he gently eases away from her and lays her, on the pillow, and tucks the covers around her and kisses her on her forehead, and he leaves. so nobody would see him. As he's rolling down the street, he picks up the phone and he calls his brothers. He says, I know where CK lives now. I'll be there in a few minutes. So he gets back to the place where all of his other brothers are, and he tells them everything that happened, what had went on, and all these different types of things. And they laughed and joked and talked about how weak he was, how much of a sucker he was, and all these different things when he wasn't even there. He wasn't even there. He didn't know anything about it. It was Phyllis that had been tricked and manipulated and used, taken advantage of. CK, about 8 o'clock that morning, he gets back to the house and he sees Phyllis in the bed, and she's laying there in the bed, and he leans in and he kisses her on the forehead, and she rolls over. She sees him, and her eyes opened up wide. First, her initial reaction was fear, but then she realized that, hold up, I can't let him know. So now all of a sudden she starts to dwell in that land of deception, and she said, hey, baby. And she reached out and she hugged him. She said, is everything okay? And he lay in her arms and he cried like a baby, telling her that they killed my brother. They killed my brother. And she said, who? Who killed your brother? And he tells her, some dude named Rome and his brothers. I don't know which one did it, but the other night when I came home, something happened bad and his brother got shot and he died. It was on the news, and I don't know if one of us did it or this, that, or a third, but when me and my brother walked down the alley, we saw him laying there and he was bleeding out of his mouth and he died, and we left. He said, I wanted to tell you when I came home, but I couldn't. I couldn't say anything. I was afraid to say anything. And she's listening to him, and this is what she wanted. She wanted him to be honest with her, transparent with her, so she could bond closer to him. But she's getting that now, and she's getting it because he's afraid. And now she's starting to question what she did. She's starting to think that I may have messed up. And CK continues to tell her everything that happens, and now she's trapped by her own deception. She doesn't know what to say. And she says, so what are you going to do, baby? And he tells her, I don't want to do anything, but my brothers want to strike back. My mother has lost enough. I don't want to get into anything and end up having to go to prison or worse. I just want to go on with my life and leave this lifestyle alone. And for half a second, a millisecond, joy swept over her, because that's what she's always wanted. But these circumstances and what she had just done the night before changed the whole situation. Now, she didn't know what to say to him. She couldn't be honest with him the way he couldn't be honest with her the other night. But see, now she's hearing from him what she always wanted to hear, the truth, opening up, being vulnerable with her, honest with her. And now, the very thing that she was getting, she can't give. She can't give. The land of deception, it creeps up on you. It's not all at once. It creeps up on you. And it's so subtle that you don't even realize that you become a different person, and you do things that put you in a box and imprison you, that now you can't be honest the way you want somebody to be honest with you. So she hides it. She hides it. So now CK's spending more time at home, staying away from everything, staying away from the homeboys and all this and that. But he's starting to see these cars drive by that are not normally in the area, and he wonders what's going on. And he says something to Phyllis about it, but she dismisses it. And all of a sudden, a couple of weeks go by and she gets sick. She's throwing up. And he asked her, he said, what's wrong? Is everything okay? And she said, no, I don't feel good. So she makes a doctor's appointment. He takes her to the doctor, and she finds out that she's pregnant. And he's overjoyed, and she's overjoyed, but she's nervous at the same time. In the back of her mind, she's wondering, Who's the daddy? Who is the daddy? Is it CK? Is it Rome? What if he finds out? What is he going to do to me? What would he do to me if he found out that this was Rome's baby and not his? So she starts stressing and she's getting sick. So he takes her back to the doctor after a month or so, and the doctor tells her, you gotta calm down, you gotta relax, you gotta get away from all the stresses in life, because if you don't, you're gonna lose the baby. You're gonna lose the baby. And out of fear, it's fear, because in the back of her mind, she's like, would that be so bad? Would that be so bad? And then as quickly as that thought occurred to her, she knew that it was wrong and she dismissed it, but she was so afraid, she was so nervous, she didn't know what to do, and she told CK she needed to get away. She wanted to spend some time at her mother's house. She wanted to spend some time at her mother's house. And he agreed that it would be okay because he wanted to wrap some things up and he was trying to get away from the lifestyle. So he drove her to her parents' house. They lived a couple of cities away and she was spending time there, and this gave her the opportunity to figure out what was going on, and her phone rang. And it was wrong. She had been ignoring his calls and not answering and all this and that, but she was away from CK and she felt it was safe, so she took the call and she had CK on the line, and she had Rome on the line, and she told him, she said, look, I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant. And he said, is it mine? And she said, I don't know. He said, when will you know? Not understanding how all of this goes, She said, I won't know until the baby's born. He said, but were you having and all this and that sex with him and me and all this and that? She said, we only did it once. He said, no, we did it multiple times that night, but she said, I only spent one night with you. One night. And he told her that's all it takes. And she, in her anger, she shouted back, and I know that. What I'm saying is, I don't know, she kept telling him. I don't know. And I don't think it's a good idea for you to call me. He said, no. I want to see you. I need to see you. And she said, I'm not home. He said, wherever you are, just tell me, I'll be there. I want to be there for you, whether it's mine or not. So she tells him. And he drives to her mother's house to see her, to talk to her. And when he gets there, her parents are not there. They're not there. So they sit and they're talking in the living room. And he's holding her hand, consoling her, talking to her. And lo and behold, CK and one of the homeboys, they're on their way to see her. CK wants to see her, spend some time with her. So they're rolling down and they're on their way. And when they get there, they see this car in the driveway that doesn't belong to her parents. Her parents' car is not there. So CK and the homeboy, they get out of the car, they walk up to the door, they knock on the door. She looks out the window, she sees him, she panics. Rome gets up and he runs out the back door, but he's not familiar with the area. When he runs out the back door, he's trying to come back around the house and get to the car. CK runs through the house, but the homeboy stays right there at the car, and they corner him off. And the homeboy said, this Rome right here. And CK said, what? This Rome? The dude that's supposed to kill my brother? This is him? And Rome's yelling at him, hey, I didn't kill your brother. I ain't killed your brother. You killed my brother. You killed my brother. CK pointed a pistol at him. They got him dead to rights. CK looks at her. He sees Phyllis. He said, you know this? Where you meet? How did you? What? And then he looks at her stomach. Something made him look at her stomach. He said, is he? What's going on? And he grabs her. And he throws her in the car. And the homeboy put him in the car. And now they got pistols on them. And they rolling down the street. Rolling down the street. Phyllis don't know what's going to happen. The homeboy's pistol whipping Rome. And she said, please stop this car. Please stop this car and let me out. You can't get out. She picks up her phone out of her pocket. She dials 911. And when she calls 911, she puts it on intercom so they could hear what was going on. Now they're listening to the whole exchange. And if you want to know how this plays out, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode, y'all. It's getting better. And it's going to get better. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace, y'all.